Testing, 1, 2, testing. Okay, we're live. So, how's everybody doing this morning? Good. Okay. So, today we're going to jump into another Evan Carmichael video. We're going to be discussing goal setting and 7 ways to accomplish your goals, the best ways to achieve your goals. But before we get started, before we jump into the videos, I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think it takes to accomplish goals in life. Do you feel like it's talent or ability? Do you feel like it takes endurance and perseverance? Or is there something else? What do you think it takes to accomplish goals in life? And it can be anything. It can be, writing them down. It could be taking a mental image of them. I just want to hear from you what you think it takes to accomplish personal goals in your life. Think about, the goals that you've already accomplished in your life. What did it take in order to get there, in order to accomplish those? Anybody? Looking for feedback. Go ahead, Chris.
You want me to stand over here? Yes, I think to accomplish goals, you don't just need to talk about them. You need to go forward. You need to endure. I think getting advice and being teachable, or maybe just getting advice to people to push you to accomplish those goals that you started. You just don't need to have a goal and just let it sit there. You need to persevere and endure.
Okay. Anybody else? You have something? Come on up, Mark. Come up here and come right here.
Yeah, I think you need to set a goal and pursue after it. First thing, and you need to kind of trust in the Lord every day, and He'll lay the path out for you. He has mine, and trust in Him every day.
Okay, so in other words, what you're saying is, on some level, you need to trust God to get you to those goals, to help you meet those marks. Is right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, what about you, Charles? Come on up. What do you think it takes to achieve goals, to accomplish goals, or what are some things that you have done to achieve goals, to accomplish goals?
To accomplish goals in life, you have to go after the goal that you've set for yourself, or something that you believe in that you want to accomplish, and put God's involvement in it. Pray to God for God guidance, and listen attentively to leaders that you're looking up to guide you to what you're pursuing, and be persistent about what you want to accomplish in the goal that you've set for yourself.
Okay, very good. Do you have something to add? Would you like to come up?
Brother Chris kind of stole mine, but I think, like Scripture says, I'm not sure the exact address, but being as eager to finish the task as you were to start it, just having determination.
That's good. Yeah, see, a lot of the times, people have goals. You have these things in your heart that you want to accomplish, but they don't know how to get there. You don't know how to get there. And so that can prevent people from getting to these things that are in their heart that they desire, that they truly want, just because they've never been led. They've never been taught. They've never known how to steward the goals correctly. So that way, when they're at reach, when they're able to get them, they're not able to. So that's what I want to discuss today. I want to talk about what it takes to achieve the goals. I want to talk about some realistic goals that are good to have, and I want to talk about what it takes, spiritually and physically in order to obtain these goals. So we're going to now open it up to the video. The video is 7 ways to accomplish any goal you set, and it's by Evan Carmichael. And then after the video, we'll jump back in and we'll discuss it further.
Vision is about what you're here to create. A vision that really works is one that excites you.
People want outcomes. They want to earn more money or lose weight or be more productive or reduce stress. But the outcome is not the thing that needs to change. It's the system that precedes it.
I plan my day obsessively. My calendar is always absolutely full and often weeks in advance.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business.
Living that believe in life. Out here living that believe in life. Every day we living that believe in life. Hustle like we living that believe in life. Living life, yeah, so we grinding it out. Every single day we be grinding it out. Hustle like we living that believe in life. Oh, that believe in life. Oh.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level talent at something. So today, let's live your best belief life and learn the 7 ways to accomplish any goal you set. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with way #1. You've got to have grit with Robin Sharma.
The #1 reason we don't achieve success and we resign ourselves to mediocrity and we get swallowed into failure and discouragement, and it becomes sometimes so deep that we can't see the possibilities that our lives could be. I mean, your life doesn't have to be your current life 30 days from now. But most people can't see that. And the #1 reason is this word called grit. Researchers say the #1 defining factor of whether we become successful or average is whether we have grit. Grit is the ability to stay true to your vision and not dilute it when you get laughed at. Grit is the ability to try an innovation, experience failure, and to say, I'm going to continue, and I'm actually going to learn and use that experience to get me closer on my path to the mountaintop. I mean, what the ordinary person sees as failure, the master simply sees as part of the process of refining your craft. So, #1, you've got to have grit. You've got to literally, when you get knocked down, force yourself to get back up, because then you start to develop a new brain. Yes, you develop a new neural pathway. Yes, you develop new muscle memory. And yes, you develop confidence. Remember that every time you get knocked down, it's an opportunity for you to develop more confidence, develop more experience, develop more inner power. Okay, every time you do something that you didn't feel like doing, like getting back up after you failed, or staying true to yourself after you've been laughed at or told it can't be done, literally, you become more powerful. And every single time you don't feel like persisting, and you do, you take back your power to the thing that you gave your resistance to.
Way #2, start small with Mel Robbins.
How many of you have ever thought about opening up a restaurant or starting a small business or having some kind of side hustle? It doesn't have to be a restaurant. Give me a thumbs up or a heart or something if you have a dream of launching something of your own. You're not alone, by the way. In fact, for the first time in history, when the Pew Research Center did this study about the American dream, and I realize we have a huge international audience, but at least in the United States, the American dream used to be, I really dream of owning my own home. Do you know what the American dream is now for the majority of people? It's, I want to own my own business. And so whether you're interested in launching a restaurant or you would love to have a business of any size, shape, or form in any vertical that you can think of, this is a question that you need to pay attention to, okay? Because I know this is also impacting you. I'm terrified to start. I know I have the potential to be really successful, but I just can't get myself to actually do something about it. You know, sometimes when the dream is so big, the fact that it's so big becomes paralyzing, because you think about where you are right now and you think, holy cow, that thing that I really want, how do you even start when the dream is so big? So here's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna shrink it down, because you know me, I am all about simplicity. I'm all about making sure that the advice works for you, because if it doesn't work for you, you're not gonna do it. And I'm all about switching how you think about things. So Diego, first of all, I don't want you to think about opening a restaurant. I don't want you to think about launching that business, because that's something that will happen a year from now. What I want you to think about is I want you to shrink your thinking. I want you to think about researching a restaurant. I want you to think about preparing to launch a restaurant. I want you to think about learning about launching a restaurant. Do you see how just saying, I want to learn about launching a restaurant changes how you feel versus I'm launching a restaurant, which feels so big. You're just in a phase where you're learning and researching this idea, which all of a sudden takes all the pressure off, doesn't it? Awesome. So that's number one. Let's shrink it. Let's not talk about launching it. Let's not talk about building it. Let's talk about researching and learning about it, okay? So that takes the pressure off. Then the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to focus on something that I talk about all the time. If you're researching and learning about launching a restaurant or a business, all I want you to do, Professor Mel has an assignment for you. I want you to find 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. That's all it takes. 10 to 15 minutes. And I want you to do one thing for 10 or 15 minutes a day that helps you learn or research about the idea of launching a restaurant. How many of you are starting to feel a little bit lighter? How many of you are starting to feel like, holy cow, thinking about it that way, I actually could get started today? Making this smaller and making it something that I'm learning about rather than doing and launching and that somehow thinking about it differently frees up the ability to get started. Amazing. I'm so happy that that is working for you. So I want you to do one small thing a day. So what could you do? You could read an article about somebody that launched a first-time restaurant. You could look online for 10 to 15 minutes for a local restaurant networking event. You could search YouTube and you could look for videos that are restaurant tutorial opening things. You could go to Barnes & Noble or your local library and find a book. You could apply for a job on the weekends and work in a restaurant if you've never worked in a restaurant to see how it feels. Because what are you doing? You're not launching or building a restaurant yet. You're learning about it and you're researching it. And your job as a student of this subject is to do something every day for 10 or 15 minutes in order to learn or research it. That's it. That's all I want you to do, because here's what I know. If I get you to start doing that and you do this every day for 10 or 15 minutes, which you absolutely can, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel momentum. You're going to feel like you're working on it. You're going to meet people that are interested in it. You're going to learn things that are going to lead to the next thing that you need to learn. And you will have mastered the art of getting started. And by doing something a little bit every day, you're also going to master the art of continuing to keep going. And from there, it'll snowball. I promise you. I promise you. As you meet people, the next thing you'll do would be to learn more from them. As you read and watch tutorials about people that have started restaurants, as you watch television programming about it, you're going to feel more inspired. You're going to start to see, I think I can do this. That's going to lead to the next thing. Trust me when I say it's all about the little progress you make every day.
Way number 3, have a compelling vision with Tony Robbins.
A vision is about what you're here to create. A vision that really works is one that excites you. If you say, well, my resolution, my goal, my outcome for this month, this week, this year is to lose X number of pounds, that's okay, but it's not very compelling. It has to be a compelling vision. It's got to have something that has the power to pull you, not something you have to push yourself to do. Those are two different kinds of motivation. Push requires willpower, and willpower never lasts. What will last is pull. Having something so exciting, so attractive, something you desire so much that you have a hard time going to sleep at night and you get so up early in the morning to rock it and take it to the next level. That's what you're looking to create. And that isn't easy to get. But one of the reasons we do seminars and events and we say, why do that? Why not just read a book or something? Is because when you get in an environment where you're with people that are being put in a peak state, like when you're going to a sporting event, if you watch a sporting event at home, it might have a certain level of excitement. But when you're in a stadium with 50,000 people, suddenly it has a whole different level of intensity. And we feel that. And the bottom line of our follow-through comes down to our emotional intensity. In a different state of mind, you're going to come up with a much better and a more exciting vision than if you're sitting on the couch going, okay, what are my new resolutions for this year? And you're doing it the morning after the new year has started and you're a little inebriated and the football game's on in the background. Probably not going to have the power of focus there. Probably not going to have the power of the energy to create something that's going to pull you for this year. And you got to do that. So it's got to be a vision that's compelling. Something that it's going to be a gift to make sure that it happens.
Way number 4, prime your brain with John Assaraf.
Let's say you have a goal that you want to achieve, but you have a lot of self-doubt or uncertainty. You haven't done it yet, or you've tried and you failed. Your sense of self is going to have some trepidation associated with it. It's like, can I do this? Can I do this? Do I deserve this? Don't I deserve it? Am I smart enough? Am I good enough? And so what you have to do is you have to take that goal, that's a conscious goal, and you have to impress the image, the vision of you achieving that goal into your subconscious mind. Why? Because the parietal lobe is part of your subconscious sense of self, and you've developed your sense of self over the last 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, depending on how young you are. And so when you take that image of achieving that goal, and for 1 or 2 minutes a day, just 1 or 2 minutes a day, close your eyes, and I want you to imagine, see yourself achieving that goal, overcoming whatever hurdles have ever been in your way or are in your way right now, and see yourself achieving the goal. Use your visualization muscle. Your occipital lobe, okay, is one of the biggest regions of your brain that you use all day long to see things. So when you use this just little technique of visualization, just see yourself and feel yourself achieving that goal, you start to override the existing self-image and identity that's there. 1 to 2 minutes a day is all you need to see yourself doing that. The people who took their goals out of their head, wrote them down with one little piece, which I'll share with you in just a moment, were 50% more likely to achieve their goals than the people that did not achieve their goals. 50. 50% more likely to achieve their goals than people who didn't write their goals down. And so invest a little bit of time writing your goals down, but more importantly, why not look at them every day? Just to cognitively prime your brain on what it is that you want, right? So when you have your goals and you look at them every day, you're actually not just reinforcing, yes, this is what I want, giving your brain an instruction to focus on everything in your physical world and even in your imagination that can help you achieve it, but you're priming your brain to move from conscious to subconscious by the simple act of reviewing it every day.
Hey, this is John Assaraf, and do you love good books? I love to read because there's so much wisdom in books. You get to take somebody else's knowledge, skills, research, pay $15, $20, and you learn so much. Now, I'm reading this awesome book called Built to Serve. Find your purpose and become the leader you were born to be. And one of my new friends, really smart guy, really great guy who serves a lot of people, Evan Carmichael, wrote it, and I'm going to read a little bit from chapter number 1. And I love this piece, and maybe it's because I just watched the series on TV on Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, which is really great, by the way, also. One of the things he says here is everybody has Michael Jordan talent at something. Everybody has a Michael Jordan talent at something. You just haven't found it yet. Or you have and you don't believe in yourself enough to go all in. To go all in, right? And you're a genius. I believe you're a genius. And so does he. You're amazing. You were not meant to live a photocopy of someone else's life. You were not created to wake up and do work that is below your capabilities. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something, and you need to uncover exactly what your purpose is and how you can serve and use the serve. So lots of pearls and gems and motivational pieces. Pick up Built to Serve. Evan Carmichael, rising star.
Way number 5, plan your life with Jordan Peterson.
Do you plan your day much, or your time generally? Does this lead to higher productivity? Yes, I plan my day obsessively. My calendar is always absolutely full and often weeks in advance. And I plan in the morning, especially when I'm on top of things. And I plan each hour, and I probably plan each minute. And yes, it leads to way higher productivity. You know, you decide what your goals are going to be. You place them in the calendar. Use the calendar as your friend, because what you want to do with the calendar is design a day that you want to have, or a day that would be good for you. And a day that would be good for you is one that you're when you end the day, you feel that you've moved yourself ahead towards your valued goals, and that you've kept chaos under control. And that enables you to sleep soundly and with a good conscience, and to know that the next day is going to be at least not worse than that day. Planning is unbelievably useful. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record with regards to the future authoring program, but it really is useful. You need to figure out what it is that you're aiming at and why, and then you need to figure out how you're going to break that down over the months and the weeks and the days. But I would approach your calendar like it's your best friend. You think, okay, I'm going to design a week, man, that I really want to have. And that means you can schedule in leisure and all the things that you want to do, which you absolutely should do. And it's also quite fun to give yourself minimal time to do something complicated, because it's quite challenging to see if you can do far more than you thought in far less time. And so that's a fun game. And the other thing you can do is, like, if you're avoiding something, you could schedule in 5 minutes of it and say, well, like if you're avoiding looking at some bills because you're afraid of them, your first step might be to schedule in 5 minutes where you just look at the bill. You don't do anything else. And, you might be able to entice yourself into doing that. So, but I would say learning to plan is unbelievably useful, to schedule your time, because that's your life, but schedule the life you want. That means you have to schedule your responsibilities obviously, because responsibilities are those things that ruin your life if you don't fulfill them.
Way number 6, change your habits with James Clear.
Often when we set about to change something or to achieve something, the first step is almost always setting a goal. And this is coming from someone, like, I was very goal-oriented for a long time, right? Like,
you're an athlete.
I would set goals for the things I wanted to do in sports, the goals for the grades I wanted in class, the goals for how much money I wanted to make in my business. And sometimes I would achieve those, but then sometimes I wouldn't. And so I had this question, like, well, clearly I'm setting goals for both, so like that can't be the thing that determines it. And you see this a lot, that the winners and losers in a particular domain often have the same goals. Like, every Olympian wants to win a gold medal.
Sure.
Every job candidate wants to get the job. So if the winners and the losers have the same goal, then the goal cannot be the thing that distinguishes the two. And the thing that distinguishes them is the process, the system behind the goal. And this is also important because achieving a goal often only changes your life for the moment. So, like, say you're just take like a simple example. Say you have a messy room, and you get motivated and you set the goal to clean your room. Well, you can do that in an hour and then you have a clean room. But if you don't change the sloppy habits that led to a messy room in the first place, then you just end up with a dirty room again.
Yeah.
So it's like treating a symptom without treating the cause. And habits are a better solution in that case, because if you fix the inputs, the outputs fix themselves automatically, right? You don't have to fight to have a clean room if you have clean habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's true in a larger sense as well, right?
Yeah.
People want outcomes. They want to earn more money or lose weight or be more productive or reduce stress. But the outcome is not the thing that needs to change. It's the system that precedes it.
And way number 7, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is set realistic goals with Brian Tracy.
Why people don't achieve goals is because of fear of failure. They don't feel that it's possible to achieve them. Probably the reason for that is because they set goals that are enormous. And big goals do not motivate you. Big goals destroy your motivation and take your heart away. When I first heard about goal setting, I decided to double my income in 30 days. And at the end of 30 days, I went into a slump. And then I realized that doubling your income in 30 days is pretty ridiculous. It's taken you your whole life to get to where it is today. Doubling your income in 30 days is ridiculous. So I set a goal to increase my income by 50% in 12 months. And then I sat down and I made a list of all the different things that I could do or stop doing that would contribute toward me increasing my value and increasing my income. And of course, since I was in sales and business, I had a lot of control over my activity levels. People say, well, I work for a company and I have a fixed salary. Well, it's not possible to double your income in a situation like that. It's just, you have to be realistic. So when we talk about goals, they have to be definite, they have to be realistic, they have to be achievable, and they have to be measurable. You have to be able to write down a very clear number, and then you have to write down month by month, week by week, even day by day or hour by hour, the things that you need to engage in, the activities you need to engage in order to achieve the goal.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video? And write down in the comments below when you're going to take action on that takeaway this week. When you schedule in what day, what time, and what place you're gonna take action, you have a 91% chance of actually following through, compared to just 35% if you just got motivated but never created a plan. And when you share your plan and have accountability, you give yourself an even higher chance of following through. So in the comments below, write down your single biggest takeaway as well as your specific plan of action, because I want to celebrate with you. The problem is not that you're not a genius. The problem is not that you don't have great ideas. The problem is that you are not focused. You haven't said that this is the thing. This is what I have to accomplish today. This is the mission that I am on, and nothing is going to stop me. If you don't learn to focus on what's important to you, you'll never do important things and live your life reacting to what's important to other people instead. So I recently started a new business with one of my Thought Leadership Academy students, Jeremy. He came to my event last year. I was thinking about him on my tour this year and said, I want to start a business with Jeremy around YouTube consulting. I get asked a lot, hey Evan, can you check out my channel? Hey Evan, can I work with you? Hey Evan, can I hire you for XYZ? Looking at my channel, giving me ideas, mentoring, guiding me. And it's just not the business that I want to be in, but it is a business. And so I thought, Jeremy's going to come on board. He's going to do it. Now, when I recruited him and called him, he was not a YouTube expert. And I gave him the homework and said, listen, if you want to do this business together, it's got to be important to you. I'm halfway through my trip on my tour. I'm coming back in a month and a half. Here's what I need you to know by the end of the month and a half. And I gave him resources, I gave him videos, I gave him insights and analytics and said, you need to know all of this. Know all of this. And then when I come back, if you're ready, we'll start the business. And he did. He focused. He made it his priority. He knew nothing about this, and all of a sudden he became an expert by every day, all day long, grinding to learn. By researching everybody who is an expert at this, understanding their methodologies, their best practices, looking through all my videos, my thumbnails, my strategies, all the things that I've talked about in the past, digesting it, kind of like the Matrix, when Neo's in the Matrix and now he can learn Kung Fu, and now he learns how to fly a helicopter, all of that stuff. That's basically what he did. And when it came back in a month and a half, I put him to the test and said, hey, let's do 2 free calls. We'll take 2 people from my community and say, hey, free call, let's go. And he blew me away with how much he knew because he focused on it. Here's a guy who went from knowing almost zero to now being an expert to be able to really help give value to people. And now when we're looking at new people coming in, I barely have to do anything, because he already knows what I'm gonna say. He already knows, he's already done the work, he's done the research, because he spent that time on focused effort. And this is where I think a lot of people feel like they're never gonna win because you may not have had the expertise, you don't have the education. It doesn't take long to become an expert. It's just focused work that you're passionate about. Focused work, you could quickly become, in a matter of months, an expert at something if you just focus in on it and dedicate your life to that thing that you love. You can easily pass people who are experts at something who don't love their thing, but because you're willing to take it on, you're willing to absorb. Think about when you went to school. how much of the information you had in your head, but you had to read over the page 4 times. So you're at the same page 4, 5, 6 times because you got lost, you got distracted. That's not focused work because you don't love that thing. But when you love something, how much faster do you retain it? How much more enjoyable is the learning process? How much better are you really quickly because you love doing that thing? And so Jeremy got really good really quickly because he loved it, because he attacked it, because he focused on it, because he made it a priority, because he didn't say, well, I'll spend half an hour a week trying this new thing. No, that's not how you win. Now, where do we go from here? We'll see. Does Jeremy want to be a one-man band forever? Does he just want to be a high-paid consultant? Does he want to then bring on a team? Does he want to expand? Does he want to have products? We'll see. We'll see how that business evolves and flows. But he got here in a really short amount of time because of that focused effort and energy, and that's what I want for you. I want you to take that big idea that you have. I want you to take the thing that you have great ideas. You're a genius. You are a genius. Why are you not winning? Why are dummies winning from the same ideas as you, from like a half-baked version of your idea? They're off winning because they focused on it. That's the only difference. The thing missing in your business's success story is a lack of focus and a lack of momentum. If you want to change your life for free in the next 30 days, click the link below. Or if you want to empower
Dad was making 6-figure salaries. We're having technical difficulties. It always seems to happen in my class. You ever notice that, Sam? Testing? We're still not good. Okay, is it what it helped to turn the TV off? Are we still having technical difficulty? Okay, are we good? Are you still getting sound up there? Are we good? Okay, all right. So, like I was saying, my dad, he made a really good living. He ran big hotel organizations, Crown Plazas, Holiday Inns, and he started off as a food and beverage director, went to school that Holiday Inn sent him through, and he learned how to be general manager, director of operations, things like that. My mom, she went through cosmetology school. She was really gifted at it, you know, and ended up, by the time she passed away, she was making somewhere around the area of like $80,000 or $90,000 a year, and this is going back 15 years ago, cutting hair, you know. So they had money, you know what I mean, and they were able to achieve some things, but their long-term goals, like, for example, buying a house or having retirement or leaving a legacy behind for their children and things like that, they never achieved that. You know, my dad's a good man. I love him to death. I mean, I'm blessed to have him in my life, but the reality of it is that his parents never taught him that stuff. And my mom's parents never taught her those things. So naturally, if you're not taught these things, then you're not going to know how to carry them into your future. So I got to a place in my life where I realized that, you know, I didn't want to go down that same road. You know, I didn't want to go through life and never have anything and wake up, you know, 50, 60 years old, not having any retirement in the future, not owning a home, not having, you know, something to leave my kids behind. And that's what made me start, you know, really, you know, doing my own research, and I made that decision in my heart that it was going to be different for me and for my children. And that's what brings me to this first step, which I really, really like a lot, is you got to have grit. The ability to stay true to your vision, using failures as opportunities to learn and grow, not to hold you back, and having that whatever it takes mindset. Because in accomplishing goals, there's going to be speed bumps. Can we agree? There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be things that get in your way from getting to the goals as quickly as you want to. We've all had goals in life, and we weren't able to get there as quick as we want. Life Changers Outreach probably being something for a lot of you guys, like it was for me. But I used it to my advantage. I didn't look at it as something that held me back. I looked at it as an opportunity to grow through it. I accepted the things that I learned in the program, and I now use them in my life today, like simple disciplines, right? Getting up and praying, getting up, spending time with God. Serving people. And then what happens is through those things, it develops healthy relationships, it develops respect, it develops stuff inside of you that people see in you to maybe want to establish you in different positions, promotions, and things like that. There's going to be stuff that's going to discourage you along the way when you're trying to achieve goals. But the main thing is like he said in step one, you have to have grit. You've got to have that mindset that no matter what, it doesn't matter how many times you fall down, you're going to pick yourself back up and you're going to continue to pursue these goals, because in goal achieving, you just have to come to the reality of that there's going to be setbacks. You've got to accept that in your heart, and you've got to make it up in your mind that although there may be setbacks, you're going to continue to strive for that thing, because in the long run, what's going to happen is you're going to learn through your failures, you're going to learn through your mistakes, and those things are going to help develop you into the place where you gain wisdom and understanding, and then you know how to react. You know what road to take instead of what road not to take, what steps to take instead of the steps that you took before that you fell in. It shapes and it identifies, and it's if you look at it the right way through the right perspective, failures, mistakes, and setbacks and all those things in achieving goals can actually benefit you. So moving on to step two, start small. Shrinking your thinking, or in other words, preparing. And I think really what she was talking more or less about was just using wisdom. Using wisdom instead of just jumping out, with this gung-ho attitude, like, I'm going to conquer the world, and that's good for you to have these things in your heart, but you've got to remember that you've got to prepare in order to do that. Proverbs 19:8 says, "To acquire wisdom is to love yourself. People who cherish understanding will prosper." So in Proverbs, what it's saying here is that, when you're using wisdom in your decision making and your choices, when you're trying to achieve these goals, it can actually work out into your benefit, and you will prosper from taking your time, from slowing down a little bit, from doing research, from preparing the correct way instead of just jumping out there like getting thrown out into the wolves or fish out of water or whatever, and just expecting things to go how you want. Faith is good, but the Lord also gave you a brain to use. And if you prepare, if you do research, if you start doing these things before you actually take action in your endeavors or your future endeavors, then more than likely what they're going to do is they're going to turn out better, because you've taken the necessary steps, the necessary precautions. You've done everything that you possibly can to make sure that in the long run there's going to be benefits. And you're avoiding speed bumps. You're avoiding failures. You're avoiding some things that you may not have to go through if you just prepare first. So start small. If you have a goal, if you have an aspiration, For example, hey man, you know, I want to start a business about a certain thing. Why don't you do yourself a favor first and research the business, research the outcome of the business, research people that have done the same thing, research their failures, their mistakes, and things like that, so that way you can learn from them and you can grow from them. And if you flip your page over, it also says in Proverbs 4:6, don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Love her, and she will guard you. So in using wisdom, she's going to protect you. Wisdom is going to protect you from failures, mistakes, and things like that if you can avoid them. Step number 3, have a compelling vision. Giving time to the thing that you love the most, or being passionate, something that pulls you. A perfect example is this. I had Jake in marketing for a long time, right? And yes, he did good at it. But through the whole process, you know, we had talks about him doing something else, like being over the men's health and wellness. He was always coming to me interested in trying to work in that department, you know, to try to better, that department that we have here in the outreach, which it definitely needed. And, you know, through prayer and me seeking the Lord and just trying to really get a feel of what's going to be best for everybody, I made the decision that I was going to give it a shot. And already, just in the couple weeks that he's been doing this, I can already tell a difference in that department. You know, it's coming up. There's more people in there. Things are getting done. My wife's a lot happier, and that's a benefit for me. and I can already see that there's a difference in it. But that just goes to show you the difference from just doing something because you're made to do it, and then doing something that you have a passion for, that you have a natural, true desire for, because you're going to give more time to the things that you love the most. Right? You're going to be more passionate about the things that you love the most. So if you put somebody into a place where they're passionate about it, they're going to give more of themselves over to it. They're going to develop it more. They're going to pour their heart into it more, and you're going to see a lot better outcome of the thing that they are developing. So I encourage you guys to, you know, whatever that you find yourself loving the most about the ministry while you're in it, you know, focus on it, you know, because God could use you in that department. He can use you in that place to be a gift to the people that you're over or to what you're stewarding, etc. Step number 4, prime your brain. Moving what you're studying from conscious to subconscious. Psalms 119, 15, and 16 says, I will study your commandments and reflect on your ways. I will delight in your decrees and not forget your word. And I think what this gentleman was talking about is, you know, meditating on the things that you're pursuing, or meditating on the goals that you are trying to achieve. So if you have a goal, right, constantly remind yourself about that goal. Put it in front of you. Write it down on a piece of paper. Stick it on your mirror. You know how I always get you guys to do stuff like that? Get something, write down your goals, write down your aspirations, write down steps to this, to that, whatever, and then stick it on a mirror, so that way every morning you know that's a place of high traffic. You're going to be in front of that mirror every single day, whether it's brushing your teeth, fixing your hair, checking your clothes, making sure, but that thing is right there in front of you, so that way you constantly look at it. It's constantly getting inside of you. And what does Psalms 1 say? It says, you know, meditate on the word night and day, and then it'll be rivers of living water bubbling up inside of you. That way you'll be like a tree living by the water, producing fruit in each season. The more that you have something in front of you, the more that you see something in front of you, the more that you get something in front of you, it's going to become a part of you, and it's going to flow naturally from that spot to where it's not from your head, but it's in your heart. It's not your conscience, but it's in your subconscious, where it's there. You think about it all the time. In your decision making, your choices that you make, how you react during your day, it all comes from that place of it naturally instead of not naturally. So prime your brain with whatever your goals are. Continue to remind yourself about the goals that you have. Continue to, and like I said, a good thing to do is just write your goals down and put them in a place of high traffic area, so that way you constantly see those goals, so it reminds you about those goals so you can achieve those goals. Step number 5, I really, really like this one. It's helped me, and it's plan your life. Organizing your day or weeks leads to more productive lifestyles. There's been so many things that I've tried to get accomplished in a day or a week. People coming to me and telling me, hey, Pastor Kenny, I need this done. And then alongside with my family, hey, Kenny, I need to get this done or whatever. And then what happens is all those things slip. Matter of fact, Pastor Matt really got me involved with using my calendar. He used to get on me all, didn't you, Pastor? All the time, man. He'd say, Kenny Ball, you need to use your calendar. You need to use your calendar. You need to use your calendar. You gonna chime in? Yeah.
Well, he has, and he had so much potential, but there was different appointments and stuff that I give people sometimes 2-week out appointments, 10 days out appointments, and I'll know how conscientious you are. If I don't have to remind you of them, you'll just show up, because there's this thing in your phone called your calendar and your reminders, and literally my phone is full of them. And a couple of times, Pastor Baller forgot. And I had to get on to him saying, listen, dude, let me show you something on your phone. And literally what you can do. Does anybody use reminders? Oh, gosh, you guys, listen. If the higher you go in ministry, you're going to have to utilize reminders. And what you can do, literally, like you can say a week from now, Monday, which would be what, the 15th. And you can say, you can give yourself an alarm on the 14th at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m., whatever you want to do. And then you can literally have a heading that says, meet with Apostle at 9 a.m. So on Sunday, you'll get an alarm on your phone that says Apostle meeting at 9 a.m. on February 15th. And my phone is full of them. So he uses them now. He doesn't miss any appointments, do you, Bob?
No, sir. Come on. No, sir, I do not. Yeah. Because what comes after that is deductions. I've had plenty of those too, I promise you. So yeah, set reminders, use your alarms, and what's really good too is make a to-do list. Speaking of my phone, right here, I'll show you guys. Man, immediately when I have to do something, I have a to-do list. I write everything down that I need. As soon as it comes to my mind, I write it down. He's trying to look at what I got to do. But as you can see, everything, and then when I do it, I check it off. So thank you. But it's just important, because if not, it's like Pastor Matt was saying, you'll forget, man, and the higher that you go in ministry, the more responsibilities, the more duties you're going to have to do, and you'll lose a lot of them, and then you're going to get a lot of resistance, from the people that you promise stuff to, a lot of bite back, and you don't want to do that. So it just makes it so much easier to make a to-do list, set your reminders, plan your day, plan your weeks, and so that way, when these things come up, you'll be able to go right into them, and you won't have any bite back from anybody, no hard feelings or anything, and you will be so much more productive throughout your day. At the end of the day, you'll see all these things that you got accomplished, and what they would do is they will develop a sense of accomplishment in your heart, and in your day. It's like when you get up in the morning and the first thing you do is you make your bed, right? At least at the end of the day, if you don't do anything else, you're going to come home and you're going to see that bed made, and you're going to feel a lot better about yourself than if you didn't make your bed. So who made their bed here today? Who didn't make their bed here today? Make your bed. At least that way when you get home, you'll have a sense of accomplishment about it. Seriously, it's good stuff, man. Simple, but it's good. It helps. Step number 6, change your habits. I really liked what he had to say about that. He said that if you don't change your habit, basically all you're doing is you're just putting a Band-Aid over it, so to speak. You're not curing the issue, you're just covering it up. I'm just, lack of better terms. Good example of that for me was, man, we would have tons of laundry. If you guys know my wife, she's a fitness instructor. She's always working out, so she goes through a lot of clothes, probably more than the average person, I would say, because, she takes showers, she changes, you know what I mean? Goes through, she probably 2-3 times a day, whatever. And then everything that I have going on, all my laundry and stuff. Well, the laundry would just pile up and pile up and pile up, right? Well, yes, we can change, we can do the laundry and it could be done, once every couple weeks, right? But what do we have to change in order to get it done so that way there's not much laundry? And so I said, you know what? Why don't we do the laundry, and then what we can do is every day, whatever's in the basket, do that load. And then we'll do the same thing the next day and the next day. So that way, you're not trying to find clothes because you don't have any because they're dirty, but you always got your clean clothes because you're doing your laundry every single day. You see what I'm saying? Changing your habits. And you guys have heard me preach about if you do something different for 21 days in a row, it will naturally become a new habit. So if I do this laundry 21 days in a row, it'll go from conscious to subconscious to where I'm doing it all the time. It comes naturally. And you can do that in anything. If you're trying to change your habits, do it 21 days in a row, and next thing you know, it'll go from conscious to subconscious to where you're doing it naturally. Step number 7, set realistic goals. This is very, very good because we all we all want to live the American dream. We all want to have a house, we all want to have a car, and we all want to have money in the bank, and maybe start a side business somewhere. But there's going to be things that you're going to have to do in order to get there. See, when I first graduated Life Changers Outreach, I had these goals. I had it in my mind by the time I was 40 years old. I was 33 at the time. By the time I was 40 years old, I wanted to own a home. I wanted to own a home. But there were some steps that I had to take. My credit was a 400. When I went to start establishing credit, I had a 400 credit score. So there's some things I knew there was something I had to do in order to be able to get on the upswing on that. So what I did was I got in contact with Lexington Law. I fixed my credit. That was the very first thing that I did. And over about a year and a half's time, my credit went from a 400 all the way up to about a 700, close to. So in a year and a half, my credit went up 300 points. And what that did was that set me up for the next thing, which was obtain a credit card. So that way I can start establishing good credit history. And then after a little while of that, I was able to purchase a vehicle because of the credit history on my credit cards, paying it off, using it, paying it off, using it, paying off. And then over time, it went into getting a loan to purchase some property because I wanted to live on lakeside, in a lakeside development. I wanted to have access to Lake Douglas anytime I use it. So I knew that I was going to have to purchase property somewhere. Because of my history of the credit card, good behavior, the purchased vehicle, the good behavior, when I went to the bank and I asked about a loan for $30,000 to get some property, they said, yeah, absolutely, Mr. Ball. We see good standing. We see good credit. Your credit's right. And then they gave me a loan to get the property. And using wisdom, I purchased some property that had a bunch of white oak and red oak on it. So what I did was I hired some loggers. I came in, worked all the timber off the property. I sold it, took all that money, and I ended up paying off the property. So there I had a deed, right, for my property that I took down, got a construction loan along with some money, and now this year Kendra and I are going to finish building our house, and I'm 39 years old. So we were able to accomplish the goals that we put forth. Now, yes, they had to start off as small goals. I had to make them realistic goals. I couldn't just go out there and say, okay, God, I'm going to believe you for a $250,000 home, and you're going to give it to me. He said, son, you're going to have to take some steps. You're going to need to establish credit. You're going to need to get a couple different loans. You're going to have to, develop some history, save some money, and over the course of 6 years of taking those necessary steps, now Kendra and I are going to be able to own our own home. And everybody can, and remember, I started off with a 400 credit score, man. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. And I just took the right steps, the necessary steps. So if that's you, if you guys are have that in your heart, if that's something that you want to do, talk to Pastor Matt. He'll be more than happy to lead you. I'm just kidding. Y'all can come to me. Y'all can come to me. Okay. So discussion. Which step or steps stood out to you guys the most? Is there any one in particular that stood out to you the most that you want to discuss, you want to talk about real quick? Anyone that just, when you heard it, you were like, yes, in your spirit. You got one, Mark? Come, if you do, come up and share it.
The word that stood out to me was believe, you know, and stay focused on you know, what you're pursuing, you know, your goal. And
the last thing when Evan Carmichael was on, that last thing he was talking about, is that what you mean when he said believe?
Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Believe.
Yeah. Anybody else? Come on up, Jake.
I guess what stood out to me the most is writing down your goals, because it's something that I've had people in my life tell me to do for a long time, is to write down my goals, and it's something I've kind of always neglected to actually do. But like from working out, for instance, just in my mind it's hard to tell like the results, but when I actually write things down and I know that I'm moving up in weight, or I know that I'm gaining weight or losing weight here and there, it's something you can fall back on, actually see the results on paper, and have confidence, reassure yourself.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Michael Shane, you got something? Come share.
So the first step that you have to have, is it on? Check. Is it? Yes, it's on. The first step, just having to have grit, like just knowing that anytime you fall down is a perfect opportunity to go forward further. That's mine.
Chris, do you have
something? To have a compelling vision, you know, to love, you got to love it, you know, you got to have passion for it. And I know I've seen the times that I was have a goal in life, but I really didn't care too much for it, you know. And I was just probably trying to pursue something that somebody else put in me, or wanted me to start doing it for somebody else instead of for myself.
Charles, you want
to add? What stood out to me was planning your life. Growing up, I come from a very, very strict family, and I always looked up to my dad, how he was able to achieve what he achieved through education. I never was a business-minded person. It was all about education in my household. And I know I have to be studious and concentrate in school, my schoolwork, and be very studious. And I was able to accomplish that.
That's probably my favorite, is planning your life, because for years, again, like I said, I was never taught to do that. You know, it wasn't until I got here and started seeing the people around me, you know, who had things that I desired, you know, had amazing marriages, you know, and assets and homes, and I was like, man, I want that for myself too. So I began to do my own research and poke around and hang around with those people, and just got some good advice, and I was able to be pointed into the right direction to be able to do that. So not only, but I'm not going to have that for myself now too, but it's something I'm going to be able to teach my kids. You know, I mean, it's going to be something I'll be able to pour into them, and that's important to me. I want my kids to have something. I want to leave a legacy behind. I want them to know that, you know, that I loved them, I cared about them. And we can say all those things, you know, but we all know that actions speak louder than words a lot of times. You want to share? Okay.
Step 2 stood out to me. The not making it too big. I seem to like always overwhelm myself with the big task rather than like realizing that it takes levels to doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, very good. So guys, all these things can be very, very beneficial to you, but it's going to take you having the desire to do them. You're going to have to sit yourself down. You're going to have to, you know, map out your goals. And you're going to have to stick to them and use these things that were taught in the video to help you get there. So this is your homework. You ready? It's on your paper. You don't have to write them down, but I just want to go through it real quick for the people who are live streaming. One night this week, take 30 minutes and meditate on goals you would like to achieve in the next 1 to 5 years. Then on paper, I want you to make a column for 0 to 1 year goals, then another column for 1 to 3 year goals, and then at last a column for 3 to 5 year goals. And then on a separate sheet of paper, write out your plan on achieving the goals that you're going to attain or that you want to attain between 0 and 1 years. Short-term goals, in other words. So one night this week, take 30 minutes to meditate on your goals that you would like to achieve in the next 1 to 5 years. Just sit, think about it, you know. Ask yourself what it is that you want to obtain within the first 5 years, next 5 years. And then on paper, make a column, 0 to 1 year goals, 1 to 3 year goals, and then 3 to 5 year goals. And then on a separate sheet of paper, write out your plan on achieving your short-term goals from 0 to 1 years. And then whenever you get done, send a picture of both of those papers to me. That way I can just overlook it and make sure you guys are staying accountable to what we've asked you to do, okay? And papers are due, you've got a week to do them, so just take your time, but more importantly, just make sure you do it. Don't just let it fall to the wayside, okay? Amen? All right.